Alright, I made one of these a few years back and I didn't make it thick enough, so I remade it. I'm going to show you what it looks like real quick, and then I'm going to show you how to make it. So let me zoom out because it's actually quite big. Excuse the mess. It's up like that, and then you have a waterfall. My previous one I did decorate a little differently, but I wanted to be able to use one paper pack to make 3 of these. And with aside from this, because I accidentally used 2 of them, you should be able to. So let's get started. Alrighty, you will need, let me zoom that in a little bit more. One piece cut at 5 1/4 by 1 1/4, scored on the 5 1/4 inch side at a 1/2 inch. 2 pieces at 5 by 3 1/2, score on the 5 inch side at a 1/2 inch. This is going to be your bottom flap. 2 pieces at 5 1/2 by 4, score on the 5 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch. This is your top flap. Two pieces at 4 5/8 by 6, score on the 4 5/8 inch side at a 1/2 inch. That's your side flaps. For your waterfall, you will need 6 5 1/2 by 4 1/2, score on the 5 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch. Oop, I went with it. This is your base for your waterfall. This is how I put it together, and I keep all my stuff square and flush with each other. It is 7 3/8 by 4 1/2. And the base for your actual folio, you'll need 1 cut at 5 by 8 and 2 cut at 6 1/4 by 8, scored at a 1/2 inch and 1 1/2 inches. Alright, so on that base, we're going to fold right there on those score lines. And right there where you have that first fold, that's where we're going to glue that 5 by 8 base. You're literally going to just put it up against that first fold, just like that. Make sure it's square on the 2 sides, and this can fold over. You want it as far up against it as possible, and then you fold. I'm literally going to put that down, and I'm going to stick glue right there, holding in place. Now, a lot of people want to use score tape. You do your thing. Alright. For me, liquid glue is forever. Once it dries, it's a done deal. You can rip it apart, but you're not going to pull those 2 pieces of paper apart. I'm not going to worry about this glue right here because it's going to be covered up with paper. But this one right here will not. So there's that. Alright, so just for this is the one piece that was a bit bigger. We're going to just write right on there. And this is going to be the other side that was scored. So fold again on those. And I'm going to take this. Okay. So see the glued side? It's literally going to be the same thing right there. Just glue it to the other side. Make sure everything's square. It's butted all the way up against that seam, but can still fold fully. And glue it down. Alrighty. I use Beacon 3-in-1 because I can use my glue eraser with it while it's still wet anyway. And anywhere I get this glue, I can just rub it off and we're good to go. Alright, so to be honest, this right and left isn't even going to matter. Add a little bit. But if it makes you feel better, so that'll be up, up, and up. All right, when you close it up, you have a little booklet. Okay, while I'm here, I'm also going to put arrows on these two. And I'm going to flip this over and put an arrow there. I am notorious for putting stuff on wrong unless I have these arrows. So now we are going to, so these are the bottom flaps. That's a 5 by 3.5. Let's fold over on your score lines. All right, so we are going to turn this upside down because that's just the way I work best, and glue this centered from that fold right there to the edge. We're going to center it, bam, right there. That's it. Just glue it down. And I'm okay if glue oozes out to the edges. I want that because I don't want my stuff lifting up. Using really thick cardstock. It's 110 pound. I don't normally use it that heavy, but it just seemed like the thing to do. So on the other side, just scooch it over and do the same thing. From this fold, this outside fold to this edge, center it. And glue it down. And just make sure that it's flush up against this edge. And you burnish, burnish, burnish. Probably one of the most important things you can do when you're gluing something down is burnish. You want the glue and the paper to make love. Alright, now we're going to grab our top flaps, fold at the score line. Okay, and then we're going to glue this to the top half right here. Now you do want to make sure it's centered on the top, but you really want to make sure it's more centered on this flap right here. Make sure there's an even amount because you're really going to notice it once everything's decorated. So right there you can see you want it to be even on both sides. So just double check that before you burnish your glue down. Nope. Move over just a tad. Okay. And burnish. Again, all that'll be covered up later. And then do the other side. Same thing. Okay. Ooh, way off over here. Too worried about. Okay, much better. So now I can burnish. Would be the awesome part about liquid glue. And yes, you can use your finger to get this glue off, but it's much faster with the eraser. So now for your 4 5/8 by 6, hold on the score line. Alrighty, so now we're going to put these on the side here and center it from this point to this point and glue it down there on the edge. And you can measure it if you want to. I'm just eyeballing it, which, you know, is pretty big for me. Normally I'm super, it's got to be perfect, but I think they're far enough apart that it's really not going to matter. Okay, this one over here on the other end. And what you can do if you, once you measure it, if you really felt the need, so be about right there. Once you get it exactly where you want it, you can just literally lift up this part while holding this other part down so it doesn't shift. And then glue it down. And you know it's centered. Okay. See? So you can see with the liquid glue, that bottom layer is still down there, but this top layer, I did rough it up and it came up, but that bottom layer is still glued down no matter what. I mean, it looks like a flaw now, but it's going to be covered up in a little bit. Alrighty, so This is your base. Actually folds in. Go back out a little bit. Folds in. Let's go down. Let's go up. So what we're going to create now is that waterfall that goes here in the middle. So let me set this aside. And all these waterfall flaps, go ahead and fold them on the score line. One of the reasons why I'm using the super thick cardstock for this waterfall is because of the decorative punch that I'm going to be doing here at the bottom. I don't want it to end up all frayed in the end. So what I do is, this is the folded edge here. The non-folded edge is the side that's going into my punch, and I just center it. Yes, I do eyeball it. And then I punch. And if you've never used these before, because I really had a hard time in the very beginning, let me zoom in a little bit, is once you do that first punch, you line up this one with this right here. And then when it's lined up completely to where everything matches up, you can press, and then you have a perfectly good punch. Same thing on the other side. And because this is such thick cardstock, it's kind of hard to put through, but that's okay. It's worth it, because I think that's just beautiful. So this is one of my favorite punches. There's one more from Martha Stewart that I just love, so they get used a lot. I have a whole lot of other punches, but these are my favorites, so. Ooh, that would have been wrong. And I am trying to do this video in one fell swoop so that I don't have to edit anything, because it's quite time consuming. And another reason why I'm using 110-pound cardstock is because this is a gift. I'm giving it away. It's not a template or anything like that. And here you will see a bunch of little hearts. I save quite a few of those just for later use. The majority of them can be tossed, but or you can keep them. Keep everything on the inside except for these bigger pieces, and that's some really cute confetti. I know a lot of people do shaker cards. I've never done them, but I thought about it. Alrighty, over here, this is your waterfall base. It's 7 3/8 by 4 1/2. On the 4 1/2, I literally cut like just a hair shorter. Actually, you can't even tell. With such a small hair that, but it's so that when these are glued down on here, it's just easier to see. So I'm going to zoom in some more, and hopefully I stay in frame for all of this. So you want to take your piece, fold it over on the folded edge, put your glue. And then you're going to take that glue side and square it up on the edge, left to right and top. You want to make sure these sides here are square, and then press, 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 burnish, burnish, burnish. The reason I use this base is because I want my stuff to be square. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with stuff all wonky. It'll, trust me, it'll go crazy pretty easy. Now on this one, I'm not going to have you fold it. Pull out a little bit. This is going to glue straight down right there. You're literally going to glue it right over the piece that you just glued, as you can see right here. It's going to glue right there. So you're going to square it up, make sure this can fold, everything's square. Press it down, lift that part up. So you can even put the glue down here this time. Just because you know where it's going. I mean, okay, and then we're gonna, so get your pieces here, split them up, and then right here, again, not folded over. This time you're gonna glue it directly right there. That's where you're gonna glue it. So make sure everything's lined up square. And flush at the sides. I don't know why I feel like I'm wonky today. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue that one above that score line and glue it down. That's it. And then that'll fold up. Okay, I'm going to zoom out just in case I'm missing parts. Alright, you have your three here that fold up. I'm going to take this, which is, here's your score line. I don't want it folded over, and you literally just butt it up right there. Make sure it's square on both sides. Actually, I'm going to put my glue on. And then I'm going to make sure it's square. Okay. And you fold it up. Don't forget to burnish, burnish, burnish. Now I'm going to zoom in even more because I want to make sure you guys are getting this. It's not easy to see it in the black. So I just folded this up, and that's exactly where you're going to butt this up. but you're also going to make sure it is flush with the sides. So, alright, so I'm going to put my glue on. And we're going to do one more, which is going to go right there. You can fold it over every time, and actually I do that quite often. But when I'm doing a tutorial, it's just, well, this is just as easy. I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter. You end up with the same results, but I want to make it easier for people that have never done it to get it right that first time. I don't like when I was first learning and I didn't know how to do stuff. I got a lot of stuff wrong, and it was actually quite discouraging. So I'm going to zoom out again, and real quick, just going to throw some paper in here so you can see. There's going to be decorative paper here, but just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. And obviously it's definitely prettier with decorative paper, but then you have your waterfall. Super easy. So what I'm going to do real quick is you have one little piece left, and that's at 5 1/4 by 1 1/4, scored at a 1/2 inch. I'm going to score on that fold line, and you're going to flip this upside down. And this is where you're going to glue. So when it's actually right side up, you want to make sure you see that right there, how I'm centering it on. Or you can measure it either way you want to do it, but for me, just using my flowers is good enough. And I'm going to glue it to the back side here, so you can see. Okay, so when that's all said and done, that's what's there's gonna be a magnet here. And actually, let me grab my magnets. If I can find them. Open package. Do I have one? Guess not. Alright. So, let's do those magnets right now. You're going to need a total of 6. Okay. Come here. Let go. Really? They definitely like to stick to each other, for sure. Alright, so before we forget, let's get some score tape. Alright, let's get those apart. You can use the glue that they have. That's fine too. So we're going to open that up, and we'll just use the glue that they have right here. I'm going to put it on the inside of that flap. I put it just, I don't know, 1/2 inch down maybe. I don't even know. 3/8, half, whatever. It's all good. So to make sure that they line up, I want you to do, which one is that? That was a, yeah. So that was a negative, and this is a positive. You put that right on there. Then you just go ahead and take that tape off, and then you fold it over. And it's right where it needs to be. I'm going to put a bit of score tape on it. For later. But yeah, that's how that goes. And we're going to put the other two on while we're here. This will end up going here, but you have to wait until you put some decorative paper down so it stands out more. And it trust me, it will make it look prettier. So over here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a magnet right here. So you fold that down, and same thing. 3/8, half an inch, whatever floats your boat. Oh, I guess it would help if I put the other side on, huh? Alrighty. Don't forget that score tape. I don't trust the glue that comes with it. It might be awesome, but I don't want to take any chances. So this is what I do. Alright, and the other side again. Flip that down. Alright, exactly where it needs to be. We have now created the whole book. Alrighty. Okay, these would be the only times I use score tape. Normally I'm a liquid glue kind of gal, but your glue has to have time to dry, and I'm not going to sit there and hold this down. So along the long edge, I am going to put score tape. And that's just going to help hold it down while the glue is drying. For me, that's what it's for. That's it. And you don't pull this tight. You don't stretch it like a rubber band. You just pull it out. Just pull it to where it's full length, not stretched out. Don't pull on it. And that's how you place it down. And then you pull out some more and do the same thing. Because if you stretch it, it's going to be like a rubber band, and it's eventually going to go back to the size it was. Because nothing likes to be stretched for that long. So, alrighty. Now all we need to do is cut up some decorative paper and decorate. I'll be back. Alright, I almost forgot. We need to put a little bit of ribbon on there so that when we go to fold this up, we're good to go. So, alright, this is your top. You open it up, and you actually flip it over to the back side. This is your back. So, I'm going to actually, for those of you that worry about it being centered, That's where I'm going to put it. And if you think it needs a little bit more help, you can always put a bit of Scotch tape over it. All right, same thing here on the front. Now we're back to the front. You want to do this before you put your decorative paper on. It'll look better that way, trust me. And then it ties. Can I do this? Wow. Probably the easiest thing I'm doing today, and I cannot, I can't do it. Okay. Now what I do, yeah, that sounds great. I take and I angle, let me zoom in there. Just angle my edge a little bit. On both of them. Not really particular about which way. And then I take a lighter. You might have something special for yours, and that just burns those edges so they don't fray. So hopefully I caught that in the last one. So if you leave it just like that, those edges will fray, and then you just burn them, and then you're good to go, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. Like, see, this was already fraying. All right, there was that, and I almost forgot, because I know how I am, I need to mark all of these as to what's up. Because, oops, sorry, these are up, but when you flip it over, it gets a little bit more confusing. So I seriously do it on everything. See? Okay. Now it's ready to be decorated. I'll be back. Okay. On the back side of your book, before you do anything, you need to glue this down in the center. So that way when you flip it over and you glue down the next part on the inside, which is going to be your waterfall, sorry, thinking too much. Just make sure it's centered top to bottom and left to right on. And this is why I like to put on my ribbon first, so that I don't forget, because you want it to be underneath this decorative paper. And I would have forgot because I didn't even give it a second thought. All right, let's go ahead and finish decorating the outside of the book. So this is up. Make sure you do not glue this down. You need that later to tie. And it's already glued where it needs to be glued, so you want to do this part before you decorate the inside, because once you decorate the inside, everything's going to be too thick. You're not going to be able to burnish these back pages down. Remember to burnish, 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 which is really just spreading the glue out. You're just literally just sliding this across, pressing down while you're doing it so that the glue spreads out. It really is one of the most important things you could possibly do for your book, regardless of what you're gluing down. I don't care if it's a card or a mini album or what, but it could be an art journal and you're gluing something in there. You have to burnish. Okay, and when I'm doing this, I'm doing it from the fold line to the edge and centering it. Eventually you will be gluing something down there, but that will be later. You do want to keep this outside flat so that when you are doing the inside, there's nothing keeping you from burnishing everything down. Okay. So now we are going to grab this and we're going to glue it here into the middle, so you can see, so that when you add this, there's that pop of color. All right. Now what I do is I cut from, the way I measure it is from score line to score line, right here where the folds are. Can you see that? Ooh, crap. I cut it 1/8 inch shorter. And also the same lengthwise. So from score line to score line, it is 5 1/8. Nope, it's 5. It's 5, and then this is 8. So this is going to be 4 7/8 by 7 7/8. It doesn't take a whole lot, and then when you put it on there, it's just leaves a bit of a frame, kind of like this right here. There's a frame, a black frame around it. So that's what we want to do. Alrighty, I use liquid glue. That's my jam right there. There's no getting around it. This is what I prefer. Liquid glue is for forever and ever once it's dry. So, this is my Beacon 3-in-1, which I like because it goes well with my glue eraser. Alright, make sure you burnish, 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 burnish. Very important. I do not mind when my glue seeps out because I have a glue eraser for this liquid glue. It works great, and let me zoom in a little bit, and it will come right off. Right there. So now I can glue this in, and you can see it has a pretty frame around it. So, gotta remember, almost forgot, this is up. And I'm going to do it on all of them, just in case. If you know that you are going to be putting a full-sized photo on each one of these to where it's going to cover up all of the area, you do not need to put pretty paper. Or I've done it to where the front has pretty paper and down here it just has a pretty strip. So that way when it's folded over, all you see is the pretty little strip. I really don't need it on this because my thing's not directional, but you never know. So this would be the one time when I use score tape to glue stuff in, and it would be because I'm not going to sit there and hold this down while the liquid glue is drying. So the score tape is going to hold it down for me. Okay, so because there's a whole lot of flaps and whatnot here, I really like to make sure that I get plenty of glue down on here. Alright, before I go setting it anywhere, try to make sure it's centered, make sure my head's not all up in your way. And I'm gonna set it down. And then I'm gonna press. Burnish, burnish, burnish. So, sorry about that, I had to run. My husband was calling. Hopefully, I just jiggled everything. Alrighty, but I want to make sure that I burnish this also. For me, the glue burnishing is one of the most important things you can do. If you do not burnish it down, and say I just barely just stuck it on there and my glue's barely even sticking to the paper, well, again, the barely parts, you want your paper and your glue to make love, so there is that. Alrighty, so now I can decorate my waterfall, and what I do is get my papers in the orders in which I want them. So I'm going to use this here. Now when there's two sides, which would be this one next, I'm going to use this and this. Both of them are exactly the same, except for I'm going to flip this one over. You know they match. The way Graphic 45 does their papers is these two sides, they match. So they're going to look good together. Now this one, because I had this left over from here, is actually going to go all the way in the back here. This is where it's going to go. This is the last page, and this one's a little bit bigger. So that's how I do mine. So let's do that. Oop. Actually, I don't like that one. So let's do No, I'm going to leave it. These two are just going to both be red because I'm not going to use the other side of this. Or actually, yeah, you could if you really wanted to. I'm not going to. I try not to have faces on mine that I'm not sure I can cover up. So here we go to the next one. Ooh, man, that's happening a lot. That one's okay. Alright, then this one's a little bit bigger, so I had to cut that one different size. So I know where everything's going. So I place those wherever they're going to be. And I do ink my edges. Do they have to be inked? No. In a little bit I'll show you the difference. So you can pick and choose what you want. I mean, everybody's different. I know when I first started out I didn't like the inked edges. It really bothered me. And then I grew to like it. Okay. Burnish, burnish, burnish. And then this is going, yeah, make sure you're careful and you're gluing it on the right way. Ooh. I like that side too. Yeah, go on with that one. Okay, see, this is where the directional thing would come in handy. To make sure that you do glue that on right. Because say you turn it around just to where it's easier for you. Actually, I'm going to flip this down and burnish it this way. Alrighty. So I think this one goes this way. Yep. Ooh, and by chance, they almost kind of line up. Nice. Got lucky there. All right. I'm always torn about whether to add music in here because I know a lot of people do add music. Some people don't like the silence, but at the same time, when I'm watching a video, if I'm having a hard time hearing the person giving the instructions, I'm not a huge fan of that. Now you can see how it's not so plain Jane like this one is, because it has that in the background and you can see that through. So there's a pop of color. Which one do I want on the bottom? Don't know that it matters. So I think this one has a little bit more color, but yeah, I'll do that one. Not completely copying the one I made before, just because I made a couple of cuts wrong. And I ended up having to use some different papers in some things I just thought might look better. So for every spot that I'm gluing something down where I'm putting the decorative paper, I am, again, it's going to be 1/8 inch shorter. So this is 4 1/2, so I cut the decorative paper 4 3/8. And then I measure from this fold line here, this one here, to just above these hearts, and that's where I come up with my measurement. You might not have hearts, the Martha Stewart punch. So I don't really want to give that measurement, but okay, so actually I might do that. Normally I'm not a fan of the, but it's pretty small. It's not like other parts don't have it. I just know they're going to be covered up with photos eventually. Yeah, let's do that. I've been actually created the book a week ago and was all into this and ready to roll, and I injured my knee and I couldn't stand for very long. And, you know, I was supposed to keep weight off of it. So, to be honest, I guess that's up. And then I lost my mojo. I really did. And I can't say I really have it back. My knee still kind of hurts, but I was making this as a gift. And I did actually, because I was already creating one, I created another one. So this is the whole pack, same exact thing. As I was cutting these, I was cutting these. So that way I have a backup mini, which is pretty awesome when you need one in a hurry, and then all you have to do is glue it together. Or I could glue it together now and then not have to worry about it later. But either way. Alrighty. Okay. Okay. So, you know what? I am going to put that one like that. Kind of like the butterfly and the rose. And even if I only put a 2x3 photo, I could end up... Wasn't going to do it that way before. It used to bother me, but you know what? I'm getting to where... I don't know if it's the 50-year-old in me or what, or menopause. Yeah, just getting to where it doesn't matter. It's all good. It will all look beautiful in the end. Part of my reason for using liquid glue is because, like just now, I didn't have that centered left to right, and it gives you a few seconds to move and adjust your paper, which, trust me, if I was relying on tape of any type, forget it. My stuff would be crooked. And granted, I say, you know, it'll all turn out beautiful in the end, but I'm not okay with crooked. That's just not my thing. That would bother me a lot. I would be having to rip out pages. You know, I can have it be a little wonky to a point, but okay. Now on my last one, I did make it to where I did repeat some papers just so I had a general color scheme, like a black, white, red type thing, as you can see here. But if you want to be able to use one 12 by 12 pad and an ephemera pack and make 3 of these, you cannot do it that way. That's why I'm doing it this way. I want to be able to duplicate everything and I wanted to be able to make 3 out of the pack as opposed to just 2. So that's why I went with this. They won't know any different, only I will. So, well, and you. Shh, don't tell anybody. Alrighty, so take my little piece off. Oh, see, gotta be careful. Jeez. Okay, and just in case, I want it to make it to where I can adjust this. If I put it on crooked, I've added a little bit of glue to that why am I having a brain cramp? That score tape. Alright, so now we have our waterfall. So yay. Makes the hearts look pretty from the other end too. These 3 by 4 picks, I back them in black. And you can see, you can have it like that, or you can have it, that one's kind of like that. And this, to me, pops more. Now, for this one is not inked on the edges, and this one is. Let me zoom in and quit moving around. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but to me there's a difference. It's all on what you prefer. And one does look cleaner. So, I mean, I guess it's all on what you want. And inking it is a little time consuming. I mean, it doesn't take forever, and you can do it while you're watching TV or whatnot, but alrighty. So let's get the insides done. Alrighty. So I need this for here and this for here. Okay. Again, just cut it 1/8 of an inch smaller so you have a tiny little border. Did I? Whew, scared the heck out of me. I was like, holy cannoli, my arrows are wrong. No, I was wrong. See? This is why we have arrows. Woo-wee. Freaked me out. Had a heart attack. I was like, no. Ooh. Wow, wow, wow. That. Mamma mia. And you could put this one like that. But that's too many faces for me. Ooh, sorry. Holy cannoli. Sorry about that. So you didn't even know I was doing it wrong. Zoomed in too much. Okay, so as pretty as this is, that's too many faces for me. So okay, I really need to move that out of my way. And okay, I'm going to I think these are the tops. Yep. So that goes there and that goes there. These are on the inside. Where are my... There we are. And these are for the bottoms. Alright, let me move some of this stuff out of my way because seriously, I'm finding it a little confusing. And I'm going to end up losing something. Okay, so for these, they're not directional. It's not really going to matter. Stop that. almost forgot. Alright, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I am putting arrows here. I know I'm putting something in these spots, and I want to make sure they're going in the right direction. Alrighty, so okay. Telling you, I love this 3-in-1 glue. Sounds like my husband's home with dinner. He went and got us some takeout, so I'm probably going to be back. Not to mention it'll give my knee a rest, so there's that. Okay, and the way we put the magnets on, you can have it flip whichever way you want it to flip and it will catch them. But I'm I'm going to do mine that way. And I'll be back in a little bit to finish up. Alrighty, on these, I glue them directly to the black cardstock first. And I forgot to show you what did I do with this? Okay, in the Ephemera Pack, it comes full of all this stuff, but I need her. Where is she? Oop, there she is. Okay, so as you can see here, these are not square corners. They are rounded. So I cut off that black edge here on the Ephemera Pack so I can eventually make it square to where there's pointy corners. And then I know it's going to fit exactly the way I want it to on my 3x4 black cardstock. And I did that on quite a few of them. Most of these images came from this Ephemera Pack, but some of them did come from the cutouts in the paper pack. So you're just going to have to figure out which ones you want. For me, these, like him, these two I took from my Ephemera Pack because the cutout sheet, I needed that. Let me see if I can find it. Wrong one. Okay, seriously, where is this cutout sheet? No, it's here. But where? Oop, right here. I needed this cream color. And I needed 3 full ones to be able to make 3 full packs, so I could not cut this apart. That's why I went with using the ones out of the Ephemera Pack. Okay, so I have he's going to go here. She's going to go here. Okay. So this is over here, and this is over here.
Margaritas on happy hour.
Oh, really? They had a happy hour? I'm surprised. Okay. So why do I have two of these? I got something wrong, or took it from the other pack. All right. So something else is supposed to go there. All right, I don't know what happened. I think I glued it down on the wrong side, so it should be the back side that's here, and it's too late, and that's okay. Gonna cover it up with a photo or with something. Just have to, gonna learn to embrace the mistake, because there's no way to take it back. And then this one got changed too. I didn't have a choice. The other one, the back side belongs someplace else, and they only give you 3 of each, so. Alrighty. Let's do these. Almost forgot about them. You can either go that way or that way. Tempted to do that. Yeah. Putting that upside down. Check it out. Oh, no, it wasn't. Not my problem. Okay. This one over here. Actually, from the looks of it, I could have cut that down a little bit. Thanks for watching.